me feel it in my bones like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something big is happening, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something big, I feel it happening, oh.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number one, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Oberlin, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4 gets it. Going around. That's the big one.
With our experience of computer graphics, 24 Designs can make you a customized graphic that fits your needs. With graphics for a website, we will make you a logo that fits your company at an affordable price. iRacing paint schemes are also our specialty and can be designed however you would like. If you need another type of online graphic, we can take care of those needs as well. Just contact us by going to www.24-designs.com and we will set you up with the best we have to offer. 24 Designs, where we design for you in mind.
One last start. One last turn. One last push.
Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver.
One last hurrah.
Greatest day of my life, Winston Cup championship.
One last.
Welcome live here tonight on Checkered Flag Interactive for the Pure Ponage 200 here. Shane Doherty, Steve Bone Steel up at the booth as always here for the Checkered Flag Interactive coverage of the CMC Sportsman Series, the Crescent Moon Contracting Sportsman Series that is here as we are getting ready to go racing at Talladega Super Speedway. We've got all kinds of coverage here, all kinds of news and information that you need to know on the UpperEdge Racing series, this one specifically, and then the rest of them and what we've got planned for the rest of the season and plenty more here. We've only got a number of races left after tonight. We go to Pocono, New Hampshire, Kansas, then Phoenix. So the season quickly coming to an end here on CFI. Thanks everyone for tuning in week in, week out for us here as we are getting set and ready here. It looks like Bronson Stafford will be leading him down to green, and I'm going to turn it on over to the infield for opening ceremonies. And always big thanks to our crew down there helping us get ready inside and out for these broadcasts here as we are lined up on the track, Shane. These guys are getting ready to go racing here. I'm going to turn it over to you to run through the starting lineup.
Absolutely, Steve. An absolute packed field for tonight. 30-plus cars getting ready to take the green flag. Bronson Stafford is going to be on the pole tonight. And his outside, Shane Terrian. Teammates sweep the front row. Jamie Haley will start third with Justin Krasinski starting fourth. Michael Finlayson round out the top five with Corey Huber starting sixth. Brian Dyson starting seventh. Starting eighth will be Colin Bowden with Mike Tellier in ninth. And rounding out your top 10 will be Byron Daly. Starting 11th tonight, Michael Thompson. I believe that's a career-high qualifying effort for him. Tom Bourne will go ahead and start 12th. Chris Wright 13th. Austin Hartenfeld is going to start back in 14th tonight. Andy Glazik will start 15th. Nice return for him into the series. Mark Murphy will start back in 16th. 17th will have J.D. Laird, and to his outside in 18th will be Thomas Story. Joe Lawrence will start 19th tonight with Trevor Roppolo in 20th. Jason Thompson in 21st. Mark Roppolo will start 22nd with Brendan Madonia way back in 23rd. And to his outside in 24th will be Dowie Woods. Chad Coleman will start 25th, and then rounding out the field, your last couple drivers, Bradley Burke, Joseph Tice, Joshua Chin, Michael Laria, Alan Cryer, and Raleigh Grant Davis complete the 31-car field.
And as we are getting ready to go racing, remember the points battle is pretty spread out when it comes to Corey Hoover. He's 56 points ahead of second place. Then you've got a pretty tight battle for there on out for a little bit. But as the season's coming to a close here, big announcements made for the CMC Sportsman Series. I'll cover you on that a little bit later on, but we are getting ready to go racing here, so that's what we're going to focus on for now.
It's definitely going to be a long race. Got a lot out here. They want to win this race, but only one is going to end up at the finish line first and take home tonight's victory. 80 laps around this 2 2/3 length mile track. Bronson Stafford will be the leader on the restart or the initial start as the green flag is out. We are racing at Talladega.
As the field piles down in turns 1 and 2 here. Quickly, multiple drivers finding themselves at the bottom line. 3 wide there with Colin Bowden all the way up to the outside wall through 1 and 2. He's dropping back very quickly, a little bit of 3 wide through the mid-pack. All the way, though, most of these guys dropping down to the bottom line, trying to get that momentum up here very early on, so you don't want to make any risky moves, so to speak. So it looks like most of these drivers will be trying to find the easiest way to get in line here, not get themselves in trouble. 80 laps will go by pretty darn quickly here. Mid-pack, we've still got a little bit of shuffling around. Plenty of room here at Talladega to go 3, even 4 wide. Not something that's unheard of. So with these boys getting all excited here early on, we've got a... Wow, just look at that pack coming across the stripe there, Shane. Almost 4 wide.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a couple different agendas going on in the field. We got guys who started in the back of the field who are going to the front. They're making passes frantically, I should say, better. And also we've got guys who started up front who want to go to the back. They feel the pack is not the safe place to be early on. They're going to back way up and possibly out of the draft. And that created that little bit of a skirmish early on. It's calmed down now as we start to see an outside lane try and form.
Hopping on board with Joe Lawrence. He's about 5-6 cars deep in that inside line. You can see lots of banking here. At Daytona, it's like looking up at a house roof times 2. And then here at Talladega, it's like you're looking up at a barn, basically. These things are almost straight up and down. And we're making contact!
Looks like they gather it back up, but only lap 3 already. We got some close racing.
Replay for you coming. Joe Lawrence was trying to make his way up into the second lane. He drifts up, catches that number 47, and no damage, I don't believe, but very close call.
I don't think, as you said, Steve, I don't think there is any damage to those cars, and That'll help them out in the draft. Definitely don't want to get damaged to these corner panels and really mess up your aerodynamics. At a track like Talladega, you want that car perfect from the start all the way to the finish. If you get damaged, it definitely hinders your ability to move in the draft and get where you need to be. And talk about getting where he needs to be. Corey Hoover jumps all the way to the outside, no help, but 3 wide, and he's trying to go to the front doing that.
Bit of shuffling still here is coming across the stripe there. All these guys just trying to figure out where they want to be. Bottom line, top line is RCA Racing's lining up there. Basically that second row up there on the high side, all going to be RCA as they're lining up right there. A lot of movement out of that entire line right now. You've got to be very careful doing that because later on in the run when everyone's pinching, everyone's keeping that room closed down, that's when those mistakes can start to happen. Then we got to look back a ways if we want to see the second group of drivers as a very spread out pack is what we're seeing right now actually. Trevor Ropolo, Mark Ropolo, they're working with each other 3.9 seconds back from the main pack. Colin Bowden is the last driver in that front main pack. He's just kind of out there racing on his own, you know, keeping a little bit of room out there on Doy Woods, so he's just waiting for something to happen. Then you got to look back even further because we've got a third pack of drivers. Brett Madonia is leading that group. Bradley Burke, Michael Araya, Joseph Tice, and Relly Grant Davis. They are those drivers, and they are a whopping 9 seconds back from this pack up front.
Yeah, all kinds of different things going on, and most of these guys who are in these second and third packs, they started in the back originally, so they figured, if I didn't get a good qualifying run, might as well stay back here and hope for the wrecks to happen early on. I don't think we'll go caution-free from here. It just seems like when you come to Talladega, you're bound to see at least 1 or 2 big ones. I think these guys anticipating that early on, electing to go to the back and just kind of ride it out for now, and I think that's a pretty smart choice with 80 laps.
As you can see there, as they roll through turn 3 and 4, coming up off of 4, the field seems to spread out a little bit more as these drivers look up high, try to get a little bit of air to their nose. Ever since the most latest updates here on iRacing, it doesn't seem like these cars overheat the same amount because it seems like you're able to pull yourself around the track a little bit better, so the guy behind you doesn't have to do nearly as much pushing. So it seems like a lot of the cooling down is kind of chilled out actually, as kind of sounds like a little bit of a paradox there, but the field right now spreading out down the back straightaway here. RCA pretty much still pushing up on that outside line as they're coming down at you in 3 and 4. Very angry field, approaching speeds of about 200 right now, as really not too much is going on up front. They're running pretty organized. The rest of that pack is starting to actually fall back a little bit further. And drivers like Colin Bowden need to be careful. And then the second group of drivers we talked about, they've now organized into a single file line, and that single file line is led by Alan Cryer. Joshua Chin, last week's winner, is there in the mix as well, giving him a shove. So we've got lots of drivers on different strategies, but one thing's for sure, up front we are right on top of each other, coming up out of the corner here, side by side, dead heat down the back.
And most of these guys in this first pack, some of them started way outside the top 10. They're already in the lead, basically. Austin Hartenfeld has officially led a lap tonight. He started 14th, and he's up to second. It just took the lead once again, so you can win anywhere at this track. You don't have to start first, and you can start last to win. And that just proves it there already, guys, making big moves early on.
Still a little bit of shuffling in this front pack here as a couple of drivers are moving back. But right now, Ryan Dyson's got some help on the outside line there. The number 37 of Andy Glazik is up there, giving him a shove, trying to get him clear of RCA teammate on the inside line. That's Austin Hartenfeld's in there. So right now, these guys are pushing, they're shoving, they're going for everything good. But they're not quite being able to clear, so it's making it a little bit tougher. And that's really what's making it a little bit different up here for this lead. You get shoved up on the outside, you stall out, and you just can't quite get
Seeing several guys, they'll try and go out to the third lane, and I think they're adjusting Brzezinski. He's trying to go to the back here of this first back probably there. That's why that happens. You can make ground in the third lane, and we've seen that more in the trucks on iRacing. You get some help up there, but really, I think if you're going to want to make the ground up, you're going to have to go through the middle lane, or what is now the top lane for the moment being. I think that's going to be the best place to go to get to the front, but these guys all on the inside, they just want to ride. They really don't feel like racing necessarily up to try and take the lead. They're comfortable where they are, and that's why you see so many drivers on that inside line.
And then very briefly earlier on, I touched on it here, but the UpperEdge Racing CMC Sportsman Series next year will go back to the London Recreational Sportsman Series, and there will be 3 rounds in the championship there, basically a chase type thing. The top 12 drivers with wins and the next closest drivers and points will start. We start the chase off at Michigan International Speedway. Those 12 drivers will have their points reset, and each driver with a win will receive 5 bonus points per win. And it's pretty similar to what we see in real NASCAR, making things a little more exciting at the tail end of the season. So Corey Hoover there, if he dominates like he has done so far this season, he might have a little more action at the tail end of the season. We'll have to see how things play out now, as still a couple of bad races could rein Corey Hoover back in. But for the time being, he's looking pretty solid here as he heads around the speedway. Still in front, though, is RCA, now with Ryan Dyson leading the way.
RCA Racing is actually going to have the top 4 here once Corey Hoover passes Joe Lawrence on the inside, or correction, that's actually Shane Terrian on the inside. But yeah, huge momentum by RCA Racing early on, and if they can pull down here, they control the entire inside lane. That's a lot of comfort you can have at a super speedway. Have all your teammates right around you, kind of protect where you are, and really, you've raced with them before, you feel comfortable around them, and that's the whole thing about super speedway racing, is draft, or just to race around in general, so you can have fun and move toward the front. The last thing you want to do is get together with someone you really don't know how you race around with and cause a wreck.
Oh, as the 78 of Lawrence is going to drop down to the inside, will he be able to collect it? I do believe he did.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened there to Joe Lawrence. He was the first car on the inside lane, and then all of a sudden, contact possibly with his teammate Corey Hoover. Maybe Corey wasn't quite clear when he came down to the inside line and might have clipped the front nose.
Either way, we are now 13 laps into this race, and it looks like it's going to be another dead tie coming across the stripe. Will Bronson Stafford will Martin Murphy lead the lap? It'll be Bronson Stafford by half of a car length there as he drops down to the inside line. 3 wide, contact there. Oh, huge wreck. Huge wreck.
And our points leader, Corey Hoover, is tumbling in the middle of turns 1 and 2 on the apron. Car went head onto the wall. That looked like a Ricky Craven 1996 wreck. What Corey Hoover just did there, wow.
Wow. It looked like lag played into that one very, very strongly there, as that was absolutely violent, Shane.
Yeah, we had cars 4 wide for a second, and I don't think everyone quite understood that. I think Austin Hartenfels just came over the radio, said he moved up a little bit in the middle of turn 1 and got into Mike Tellier, and from there it hooked Mike down, and then he got a piece of his teammate Corey Hoover, and Corey obviously went for probably the most wildest ride I've seen at Talladega in a while, and a lot of RCA guys caught up, Byron Daly, and there's just so many drivers to name after that.
Yeah, we'll slow it down here. Looks like, the 29 of Hartenfels comes up a little bit. Tom Bourne's right there. That turns him up into Mike Tellier. Mike Tellier comes back around on his upwards ascent up the track. He catches Corey Hoover, and then Mike Thompson goes around as well. And Jason Thompson in the way back there, so the number 61 or 16 will be the one out of the 2 drivers there from that team involved, but huge pileup.
And wow, look how smart some of these guys who laid back the second and third groups look now. That was probably 2/3 of that entire front pack now gone or going to be extremely off the pace. Everyone who was not in this first pack got through. So pretty remarkable, but it's just the risk in the game you play at Talladega. You choose to race up front for the lead early on, and ultimately that's where the wrecks happen. And tonight, once again occurs, and lots of guys going to be loading up a lot earlier than they want.
Drivers like Joe Lawrence get involved there. Significant amount of damage on that number 78 machine, and everyone's bringing it down pit road. So going to get the damage fixed, at least for most of the drivers that were involved. They might be able to get the car salvaged, but for drivers like Corey Hoover, their nights are going to be... And I don't really think that there's much that they can do for that right there, because that was an absolutely massive hit. We're going to try to get a ring in right now with one of our in-race reporters, Shane Tarian, driver, the number 38. Shane, it's Bone Steel up in the booth. You got me.
I got you, Steve.
Well, I tell you what, Shane, we're looking at your teammate right now, Bronson Stafford, and then looking over at you. Wow, what a huge wreck. Takes through.
Yeah, I'm just glad that it wasn't me or Bronson at this time. It's usually, there's a big one. It's either one of us in it. So when we went high, because we saw that RCA was going to the front, but they were getting racy, and they bumped one of their teammates to the apron. So we're like, okay, well, let's get out of here. Went to the front, and then as soon as we got by them, I guess Austin, I don't know if he went 4 wide or what, trying to pass his teammates and caused the big one.
And unfortunately, that's kind of just how Talladega racing goes, but nonetheless, very, very intense racing, but also very frustrating there for a lot of drivers caught up in that, because very early on here, as we're approaching the quarter mark, and I do believe close to a quarter of the field got caught up in that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably a good thing. I mean, it took out a lot of fast cars. I can see Dyson still in it, but Corey's gone, Austin's gone, Byron Daly just left. A lot of good cars that I'd be worried about. So it's looking good on our end. So let's see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, most interesting, of course, Corey Hoover getting involved, and his night is ended. So that's one of those things we were talking about before the race, that 50-plus points lead that he has. It's going to get cut down to about 25 or so, maybe even a little bit less here tonight, depending on the driver and who finishes where. And one more night like that, and we're back right on top of each other with a tight points battle. So got to stay eyes peeled when it comes to the points battle, and for drivers that are right there, right on the mark, don't give up, because there's still hope.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what we want for Corey. So we got our teammate Chris Wright, who's right there in second place in the points. So that's definitely what we want.
All right, Shane. Well, thanks for talking to us here. We'll probably get a ring in with you later on. Best of luck to you and Bronson.
All right, thank you. You guys have fun up there.
Well, we're lined up here, getting ready to go back to green after that very violent wreck. Multiple drivers did end up flipping, and not exactly what you want here early on, of course, but it's kind of like I said, that's the brutality of going racing at a track like Talladega, Daytona. The big one always looms, and early on it wasn't necessarily a big one, but a very hard wreck.
Definitely was, Steve, and that's the unfortunate part of super speedway racing. It can be looking all good, and these guys having an absolute blast, and one mistake by one driver can cause that many drivers and that big of a wreck. It's really just unfortunate, but it's part of it all, and I think it probably is not going to be the last one we see tonight. Got plenty more racing to go, plenty of challengers up to the front. Might be feeling a little bit more confident now that they're toward the front, but with that comes risk, as the green flag is back up.
Just have to see here what the strategy is on this run. If we start to see so many drivers try to fall back, it's pretty early on still in the race, so we might see drivers say, hey, we just avoided one big one, maybe there'll be another, so let's stick back in the field a little bit. But it also could be the opposite, Well, now we just had a big one. We don't want to fall back too far. We don't want to get separated. I think we're just going to have to wait and see how the next few laps go, as a couple of drivers are dropping out of line there, thinking about making some moves, but no one doing anything too major right now. A little bit of 3 wide there with the 91. Toy Woods all the way up to the wall. And then looking back there in that second pack, I'm trying to get a ring in with Corey Hoover in the infield care center. They just released him there. Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, but I can't say I'm pretty happy.
Oh yeah, of course. Very, very tough way to get this race kicked off. Working with your teammates there, you were doing very well, but everyone was dropping to the same piece of real estate, and everyone was fighting for it. Take us through what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we were making pretty good room on the bottom, just kind of riding it out, waiting for a caution or just a spot to get just to fall in line. I know they were trying to hook up with all the RCA teammates. That was our plan, was just try to stay together. And I guess some of them just got impatient.
Well, one thing that this does change is it makes things a little more interesting. There's Bronson Stafford having a connection issue there. He's going to have to drop out of that lead pack. How does this change how you approach the next few races?
Yeah, it certainly does change things. I know I had a healthy point lead, but after this, as soon as my car's fixed here, I might at least try to gain a couple of spots. I don't know how many cars are actually officially taken out, but I'll look at that once my guys repair this car, and we'll go from there.
Well, sorry to see you involved in a hard wreck early on. Good to see that you're okay. You've had a very good season so far, so there's no reason to think that you can't continue on. Talladega, of course, Daytona, always a lottery race, so you never know when you're going to get bankrupt here. Shane, back up to you in the booth.
And as we've seen these cars continue to race around after that restart, it's pretty clear they do a thing to the guys up front. Still very confident and going strong in that outside lane, starting to make some ground. Some drivers we haven't seen toward the front really in this race: Colin Bowden, Chad Coleman, and also Joshua Chin, all making ground on the outside. Also Alan Cryer and JD Laird. They're trying to make something work all the way up in the third lane back there, but for the most part, the inside lane's still the place to be.
A little bit of fanning out still happening throughout the field here, but Jamie Haley out in front in that number 99 iBuy Power Machine, and very, very nice looking car there. I love the paint scheme, love the color scheme. Pretty good sponsor too, but Colin Bowden will leave that lap, drop down to the inside line, take over the pilot spot for the inside there. But nonetheless, we've got a lot of drivers that we might not have necessarily saw a lot of this season that are racing it out, looking very competitive right now. And it's simply because this track right here is a lottery race. Everyone's got a somewhat of an equal shot at coming away victorious here. Colin Bowden's going to slip up the track there a little bit as the outside line will go on around him. Chad Coleman looks up to the high side. Here comes the 47 in the mix as well. 3 wide coming across the tri-oval.
Yeah, Chad Coleman did not like what Colin did, so he went to the outside of him, tried to take it away, and didn't get any help, but he will get some help now from his teammate Joshua Chin on the way outside. They're in the third lane up against the wall. That's pretty much the fourth or fifth lane, you could say, but they'll unfortunately fall back here as Shane Terrian now moves to the top. He'll try and pick up with Colin Bowden and also Thomas Story and try and make something happen.
Very, very careful here on a lot of drivers, just trying to figure out what they need to do in order to get to a safe spot, and it's hard to decide where that safe place is because up front isn't necessarily safe, and the back isn't necessarily safe either, so everyone's just trying to find a healthy balance of where they want to be. Right now, Ryan Dyson's up-down on the inside line, that's a little bit of a paradox too, as Joe Lawrence with that damage number 78 drops up into the high line there. So lots of drivers making moves up here as it looks like the field is starting to spread out.
Definitely is, and this might be the point in the race where we see a long green flag run and these guys relatively not make a lot of moves. Shane Terrian, really the only guy moving up and down. He just dropped down from the inside lane after being in the outside lane for a couple of laps. That'll allow Colin Bowden to take the lead in the outside lane, and he might take the overall lead off turn 4 here. He's got Mark Murphy pushing him from behind. Pretty much an equal amount of cars in the outside to inside lane now with this front pack.
Watching now as it looks like that outside starting to use a little more momentum around the speedway. And he's Colin Bowden's that driver up there that's really doing a lot of the movement. And it's really interesting to watch him do it here. He's going to try to cut down the inside. He's going to get shut out there as Mark Murphy closes the door. 3 wide here is Joe Lawrence with a damaged number 78 Subway machine. Has help from behind, and we are going 3 wide once again.
Yeah, no one wants to go with the 89 and Colin Bowden there. He jumped up from the lead to the outside lane thinking someone would push him to the front again, but there he dropped back. No one went with him. Kind of go in the middle there and fall back. Joe Lawrence, though, does move back down to the middle lane, I should say, and he'll try and make some ground up there. The inside lane, continue to say it, it's been the most consistent place to be, but if you can get some help on the outside or even the third lane, you can make things happen. You just have to stay together.
Yeah, that 3 wide situation's tough right now because while you can make that very outside line work, you have to push them down. You've got to get very, very close there, and really on 26 laps into this race, we've already seen the consequences of what happens when you get on top of each other. Right now, we just got to, feel things out, take things slow, and wait for later stages of the race, and maybe for the packs to get spread out more after pit stops before we get into anything too much crazier here. As Ryan Dice will jump up to the outside line. He's going to try to make something work here as we've got all kinds of movement. Joe Lawrence still fighting strong with that number 78 machine on that outside line. Something we do need to talk about is this second pack that we discussed a similar one early on, and that second pack avoided that huge wreck we saw. And we've got drivers like Mark Rapolo, Trevor Rapolo, Bradley Burke in this pack, Michael Araya, a lot of drivers that we expect to be pretty fast here as the race goes on. They're going to need another caution probably as they're 5.5 seconds back, and that's a lot to make up here even with the amount of laps on the board. In order to do it, they would have had to be perfect for the rest of the race pretty much. So it's got to be one of those things where these guys take their time, they're very careful, and they got to make sure they don't get in any types of trouble here, or they will simply just get hung out to dry.
Yeah, definitely. And if they continue to fall back, Steve, you're right. They'll definitely only need a caution to get back in it. Could happen, but for the most part, the guys up front have done a nice job of giving each other enough room. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. But that is a lot of the field. It's basically 15th all the way back to 26th. Final car on the lead lap that's back there. So that's quite a few drivers that are going to probably rely on a caution to save their chances to win the race.
Either way, you are tuned in right now on Checkered Flag Interactive, your source for iRacing broadcast. Mark Murphy leading the race, Shane Terrian in second, Joe Lawrence, Jamie Hayward, Haley, and Colin Bowden rounding out your top 5 here as we are coming to lap number 30. All these drivers giving it their all right now. We're going to head off for a quick commercial break side by side here so you won't miss a beat of the action. When we come back, we'll take you on a little bit of a rundown of everything you need to know here as possibly green flag pit stops could approach at some point. And we've got a variety of things that these drivers are going to be watching out for as the race goes on.
With our experience of computer graphics, 24 Designs can make you a customized graphic that fits your needs. With graphics for a website, we will make you a logo that fits your company at an affordable price. iRacing paint schemes are also our specialty and can be designed however you would like. If you need another type of online graphic, we can take care of those needs as well. Just contact us by going to www.24-designs.com and we will set you up with the best we have to offer. 24 Designs, where we design for you in mind.
And you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number one, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my gosh, they tied almost.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4 gets
Contact,
it.
speed, blast,
Going around. That's the big one.
One last start. One last turn. One last push.
Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver.
One last hurrah.
Greatest day of my life. Winston Cup championship.
One last time around.
Back here live, under caution now, as Joshua Chin gets turned there down onto Mark Murphy, sending Mark sideways across the infield there, and both drivers are able to save their cars from being totaled, but they'll pick up some significant damage nonetheless.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate, but could have been a lot worse. Anytime you see the leaders get turned in front of the entire field, well, usually everyone scrambles to avoid them and ends up with a bigger wreck, but I think only 2 cars get a piece of that. Actually, Jamie Haley got nailed in the rear end, so really only 4 cars, I'd say, out of that entire pack that was almost 15 cars strong get involved in that one.
And what this does is it sets us up for another early round of green flag pits or caution pit stops, keeping us away from the green flag pit stops, which is what really spreads out the field, Shane, when it comes to these races. So when you've got these guys coming down pit road under caution, then going back to racing, you know, they're all bunched up. They're going to be right on top of each other, and that's going to make things really interesting.
Yeah, definitely will, and I think for the most part we continue to see the field dwindle down, and that's what happens in super speedway races. You start with this big group of cars all amped up, and after some wrecks and some things happening, only down usually about a third of the field or so left at the end of these things, and some races even less. So if you have no damage and you're doing a nice job so far, well, you're in pretty good shape to possibly charge toward the front and win tonight's race.
We're going to head back to commercial here, and when we go back, we'll have the restart for you. Don't go away. Checkered Flag Interactive returns in just a few moments.
grabbing me, feel it in my bones like oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something big is happening, whoa, 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 whoa. Something big, I feel it happening, oh.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number one, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4 gets it over there. Going around. That's the big one.
With our experience of computer graphics, 24 Designs can make you a customized graphic that fits your needs. With graphics for a website, we will make you a logo that fits your company at an affordable price. iRacing paint schemes are also our specialty and can be designed however you would like. If you need another type of online graphic, we can take care of those needs as well. Just contact us by going to www.24-designs.com and we will set you up with the best we have to offer. 24 Designs, where we design for you in mind.
One last start. One last turn. One last push.
Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver.
One last hurrah.
Greatest day of my life. Winston Cup championship.
One last time around.
Not my best landing.
Hey, let's go!
You made it. Thank the Force. We've located your crash site, but it looks like the Empire...
Wrapping up our second caution of the night here on Checkered Flag Interactive, getting set to go back to racing here at Talladega Speedway. Super Speedway, that is, for the Pure Opponents 200 live here tonight on CFI. Point standings very close, but it's going to get a little bit closer here after we saw Corey Hoover take a hard impact into the outside wall earlier on. This race going to get a little more interesting now as it looks like we're within fuel strategy distance here. So all kinds of different strategies being played, but the pace car pulls on down off of the field. And we are back to green flag racing here. Green flag back in the air. Weird jump there by that inside line as they're very spread out, but nonetheless we're back to racing either way.
Definitely, Steve, and these guys, well, we've seen some wrecks, seen some cars up toward the front that are no longer there. Is this going to change how these guys approach the rest of the race? We'll just have to see. Got some newcomers up front, Brendan Madonia, and also Rally Grant Davis, who started way back in dead last in the field tonight, up into the top 3 because of all this ruckus, and he's got a chance to take the lead as the 24 and the 11 got to run on the outside.
Very good to see Madonia back as he's run a couple of races since his return here in the UpperEdge series run on Thursday nights. I do believe we saw him in the first season we were with these guys on Thursdays with the truck series. That was quite some time ago. I feel like an old man thinking about that. Here's that we're going to be in a dead heat. It looks like Shane Terry will get the push, or will give the push to Bronson Stafford across the stripe there to lead that lap. So another lap for Bronson Stafford. But nonetheless, that outside line's looking strong, and those drivers that we thought, well, hey, they're separated from the pack, they're running way back there. Here they are, they're up in the front. When it counts as we're coming to halfway, we'll just have to see how they play it out for the rest of the race and if their strategy will pan out.
Yeah, we're halfway in a lap and a half. Is this going to change how these guys do it for the rest of the race? Really, so far it's been racing toward the front, not really caring too much if there's going to be a wreck, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. When we get down toward the end of the race, riding the back of the field, probably not the best of choices, because you don't want to have to try and come toward the front and win the race, but we be way too far back to make things happen.
Still leading that outside line with a little bit of help there from the number 24 of Davis there. Here comes Michael Laraya making a comeback inside that top 10 as well now on the outside line. As they're all getting ready to push, there's the Pure Ponage machines down on the apron. That's Mike Tellier back there getting himself readjusted back up onto the track here. Brennan Madonia is going to come very, very close to getting clear. Will he get clear? No, he won't. We'll be side by side, trying to battle it out. That number 24 starting to get warm here. Bronson Stafford, knowing that the driver behind him, that's Shane Terrian, also starting to get warm. So everybody out here starting to get a little more warm as we are pushing like no other up in front of the field. And with this type of driving, Shane, we are just moments away from a huge wreck if one driver makes one slight error.
It's pretty clear the guys who have rode in the back all night, they no longer can or want to do that, and they are toward the front. That has created this big pack. It is almost 20 cars wide. I think it's 21 cars unofficially that are in this front pack here. That's the biggest it's been all night by far. I think a big thing to point out is, yeah, Bronson Stafford, he does have someone like Shane Terrian behind him, maybe not pushing as much, but that's his teammate, someone he trusts and possibly has communication with throughout this entire race. And that could be a huge factor or bonus for them toward the end. Having someone you can talk to and trust behind you, possibly guiding you to the win, always something to have to your advantage when you race at a super speedway.
As we are 3 abreast there, as that outside line, now Davis has to duck out there, getting very warm. So that's going to kind of stunt the run of that middle line. Here is Brennan Madonia's thrown 3 wide in the mix right now. Colin Bowden coming on the outside with help from Joe Lawrence, going to give a push to the 24. Will they go all the way to the front, or will the number 24 drop down and leave the 89 up there? He's going to do just that, as Colin Bowden will be left, and oh, Bronson Stafford's loose on the inside. Will he save it? Oh, he's not going to be able to save it.
A huge wreck comes back up into the field, collects about 4 or 5 cars. Just when we thought Bronson Stafford going to be the one to beat up front, unfortunate circumstances happen.
Drivers like Mark Murphy caught up in this one here. We'll see. He's doing a great job, but when you're going near 200 and people are bouncing off of you, you can't really do much. And overcorrects that machine, comes back up the track, and very hard hit. Mark Murphy takes one of the harder hits there, and of course Bronson Stafford very hard as well. Let's hop on board with him.
Yeah, I don't know if he got some contact from his teammate Shane Terrian, or maybe just got on the apron a little bit and got the car sideways. I guess we'll really never know what happened there, but then he had some contact with the 37 car. I believe that was Andy Glazik, and that was ultimately what sent him in the wall.
We'll take a look at it from above and we'll break it down piece by piece what happens here. This is where the 24 of Davis drops down. It looks like for sure he just catches a little bit too much of that apron. He's trying to save it, The 37, though, has nowhere to go. He's right on top of him. That will collect him. Then they'll go flying up the track there. Really, these drivers had nowhere to go. And very unfortunate when one driver makes a mistake that it's that devastating, but not quite the big one, but we're seeing these smaller wrecks of about 5 to 6 cars be very violent.
Yeah, definitely. That's ultimately what happens at Talladega. You'll see a big one, but at the same time, you'll see a couple of these smaller wrecks that really, you really don't think would do a lot of damage, but it does. And some of these guys checked up really maybe not have seen that the first look or second look around, but these guys, when they slow down, they get into someone that can really hurt their front nose and ultimately aerodynamics and take them out of the contention for the win. So these pit crews, well, they're getting pretty busy on pit road, pulling fenders and repairing these cars.
With our experience of computer graphics, 24 Designs can make you a customized graphic that fits your needs. With graphics for a website, we will make you a logo that fits your company at an affordable price. iRacing paint schemes are also our specialty and can be designed however you would like. If you need another type of online graphic, we can take care of those needs as well. Just contact us by going to www.24-designs.com and we will set you up with the best we have to offer. 24 Designs, where we design for you in mind.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number 1, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my God! They died almost! Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4
Contact,
gets out.
speed, flash,
Going around.
problem.
It's the big one.
One last start. One last turn. One last push.
Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver.
One last hurrah.
Greatest day of my life, Winston Cup championship.
One last time around.
Not my best landing.
Hey, let's go!
You made it. Thank the Force. We've located your crash site, but it looks like the Empire will reach you first. Prepare to defend yourselves until we can get there.
Here they come!
Cleaned up from our latest caution here as the CMC Sportsman Series Pure Bonage 200 going back to green flag racing here, lined back up. Colin Bowden, Shane Terrian leads him down to the green here as we await for the green flag to fly. There it is, back to racing. Here we go at Talladega Super Speedway.
We'll be approaching close to lap D, which means almost 30 laps to go, getting down to the end. So far, these guys haven't been afraid to race the entire night. Seen plenty of side-by-side racing action. That last time, before we saw the caution, had a packed 20. And we're going to see more and more of that as this race continues on. And already, the outside lane getting put together, trying to make a move toward the front.
At this time on this restart, the outside line didn't really get a very good start, and it looks like that's going to allow an outside line to form quicker. Up in the front there is, Riley Grant Davis. Who's he going to go with here? Colin Bowden, up and down as Jamie Haley jumps up on the high side there. Jamie Haley back to the point after having issues earlier on. He was involved in that first wreck, just very slightly, actually the second one, and he did a good job maintaining that car through the grass as he is back up into the action as this entire front pack is, well, the entire field as they drive around the speedway, and we'll just have to watch and keep our eyes on it as we're approaching about the point in the race where a lot of the drivers start to feel the pressure.
They definitely will, and despite all the cautions we've had tonight, the Figure X had 31 cars start tonight's event, 22 still on the lead lap. Still quite a few amount of cars, and as you said, Steve, all these cars on the lead lap are in this main pack. That's quite a lot of cars that still have a chance to make things happen and make their way toward the front and try and make something different in this race. What we've seen so far, some of the guys running up front, they've been the ones involved in the wrecks, and so far Jamie Haley, Colin Bowden, Shane Terrian, well, they've been clean. Might be a knock-on-wood situation, we'll have to see.
Yeah, right now a lot of these drivers, they're put to the limit, and they've got their spotters yelling in their ears, up high, down low. They're coming up quickly, 2 lanes behind you, they've got the run, and it's listening to that all race long, it gets to you. Not only is Talladega, it's tough on the cars, but it's tough on your psyche and it's tough on you as well, as you've got to constantly be on the wheel, on the mic, listening to your spotter. There's Colin Bowden, chooses to drop down, and now he's going to lose some of the help there from that outside line. He might even be able to get cleared from Jamie Haley there, but it looks like that number 24, Riley Grant Davis, will be right up on his back bumper, quick enough there to help him out here, as we've got a lot of jostling. Here comes Ryan Dyson and Joe Lawrence through the middle.
What is left of RCA Racing there, Ryan Dyson and Joe Lawrence trying to make something happen. They've caught this group kind of proving that tandems really aren't all that gone. If you can put 2 cars together, you can move toward the front. It's just not a way to take the lead anymore, at least on this new drafting package. So they're in position to make something happen. Maybe if they can pull up to the top and get a 3rd lane going. Kind of saw some of that before the last caution, so just going to have to see and wait. These guys, they're going to find some things here in these last couple of laps toward the end of the race if they want to make it toward the front.
Alan Fryer, for the first time of the night, has found his way to the front of the field here. He's going to get clear of yes, he'll get clear of Shane Terrian. He's sticking with Chad Coleman for the time being, and he'll drop down there from his teammate, and he'll move down to the inside line to take over that top spot, and expect his teammate Chad Coleman to probably find his way down in front of him here within the next lap or two. So teammates, the key of the race right now is that's how almost everyone's getting to the front, and that's how they're working on it.
Great story for Alan Cryer. He's been racing the last couple of races here. He really hasn't had the finishes to show for. Kind of speed he's had. He's been toward the back of the field, but always makes his way toward the front when it counts, and so far he's done that tonight. He's coming all the way from the back of the field. Started 30th, so the second to last car in tonight's event, to the lead. Not a scratch on that car, and as you said, Steve, he's got Chad Coleman with him on the outside lane. Both those guys have been racing together all night and are putting themselves in a great position.
Right now, it's that outside line trying to move up through, get on by, get down the inside. That's really, if you could write out 5 steps, those would be your 5 steps right here of really getting to the front and staying there. If you're down on the inside, chances are you're either going to be the first or the second car in line. And by the time you get pushed all the way back to the third, then you're able to jump up to the outside and move on up there as well. So, I mean, you're going to be moving no matter what if you want to. If you decide to just go with the flow, you can fall back in the field. That's pretty easy to do here, of course. However, it's also just as easy to always be moving, always have a teammate, and always have a friend to dance with here as we are coming down very close to the final 25 laps here. And Shane, a lot of these drivers are really starting to feel the pressure. The drivers like the number 23, J.D. Laird, coming up. And we haven't even said his name once all night until now. Chris Wright also moving up through the field. So a lot of drivers we have not talked about all night long finally making an appearance here.
Yeah, definitely, and lots of good things to say for the guys who've been able to do that. And speaking of J.D. Laird, pretty big night for him. Anderson Surfboards signed to that car, and he's 4 on the rest of the season, and he'll try and make his way up toward the front and the outside here. 3 wide, as you said, Steve. Trying to make that outside lane work. Maybe that third groove starting to come in.
And Colin Bowden's just kind of hanging up on that outside, but let's talk about Ryan Dyson and that number 78 of Joe Lawrence. What a beautiful job they've done. They moved all the way back from the outside of the top 15, now all the way through. They chose that middle line, they pushed, they shoved, they split the gap, and now they're there on the outside line battling for the lead, and a very powerful combination. But we saw this earlier on, when there's so many different drivers trying to work with each other that they get themselves in trouble. And up on the high side, there goes Joe Lawrence, probably needing to cool off that number 78. So very, very tough driving right now. It actually looks like a little bit of a lag issue there out of that number 78. So things are getting crazy right now.
And you have to move lanes. We've seen that all night. Shane Terrian, that was a risky move. Surprised Ryan Dyson let him in there. Well, he didn't let him, they would have wrecked, but still, you can't stay on the inside. We talked about it a little bit earlier, Steve. If you're staying on the inside, you kind of just lazily run around this place. You will get shuffled to the back because everyone up toward the front, you have to be moving lanes and trying to pick the guys who are moving forward. If you just ride in line all day, you're really not going to go anywhere. And when it gets down to the end of the race, you need to be moving places to finish them.
As the lap laps continue to click off here. 24 laps remain on the speedway. And we've had a whopping 30 lead changes. Oh, and just as we say that, we've got a big one here in 3 and 4 once again. Couple drivers getting turned and back under caution we are.
This wreck's definitely going to be blamed to some net lag there. I believe it was from the 23 at JD Laird, got into the 44 Michael Laria, sent him into the outside wall. A couple other cars involved in that, but nonetheless, another big wreck in the middle of the field.
And you know, one of the common denominators in all of the wrecks so far tonight have been netcode. Whether it started it or it was somewhere in the middle of it, a lot of the wrecks here tonight would not have been nearly as bad if it weren't for any type of netcode, and that one specifically there was about a lane and a half.
Yeah, there definitely was, and that's just one of the unfortunate parts of online racing. Some guys have internet connections that really don't communicate with the server well. Maybe they do for most of the night, and it kind of flares up now and again, and you really wouldn't notice that on mile-and-a-half tracks, or really any track, because you're not up against guys constantly. But when you're in a pack, up with guys on your outside, your inside, in front of you, behind you, that stuff flares up and really makes an impact, and there we saw that with the wreck.
One driver that's had quite the journey here tonight is Joe Lawrence, driver the number 78. Looks like he will be staying out there. Rams the pace car there, no problemo. Jeff Bodine, or Brett Bodine, whoever's driving it here today, who knows? You never know here on iRacing. But nonetheless, talking to Joe here. Joe, you got a copy?
Yep, I got a copy.
Well, I tell you what, it's been a crazy race here tonight at Talladega. Take us through the struggles that team's had.
Yeah, so far it's actually been one of my cleaner restrictor plate races, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll see. So far it's been fairly good. I had one little incident there, I got ran in the back of. I guess people didn't quite see the wreck and weren't able to check up in time. But so far we're gonna hit the pits here shortly. Just wanted to stay out and I don't know, just see what everybody else was gonna do.
We've seen you working with Ryan Dyson most of the night here. How's that working there with that damage on the back end of your car?
It's working pretty good right now. I haven't really actually noticed it. I thought it was gonna do something, but I haven't felt anything with anybody I've worked with that has thrown the draft off for me. So far I think Ryan's got a little bit of front end damage, so that might work. If I get in front of him, we'll line up and go to the front.
Alright, Joe, well, we'll let you get back to your team here, and we'll get ready for what could be the final restart.
Alright, thank you.
Shane, we're going to hop off for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll take you to the restart. With our experience of computer graphics, 24 Designs can make you a customized graphic that fits your needs. With graphics for a website, we will make you a logo that fits your company at an affordable price. iRacing paint schemes are also our specialty and can be designed however you would like. If you need another type of online graphic, we can take care of those needs as well. Just contact us by going to www.24-designs.com and we will set you up with the best we have to offer. 24 Designs, where we design for you in mind.
Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number one, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my God! They died almost! Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4.
Contact,
Going around. That's the big one.
And we are back here. We are going to get the green flag, Shane, with 19 laps to go here in the pure ponage. 200 as the season here is coming to a close. Final races are among us as these drivers feel the pressure not only when it comes down to the point standings, but also here tonight at Talladega as well. Pace car will pull down off of the track here. We'll be back to green flag racing. The field stacking it up, anticipating the start there. Green flag back in the air.
Looks like one car stayed out under that entire caution, the 18 to Tom Bourne. He's got some damage to the right front, but more particularly the left front. It's pretty tore up. I have to see how that car is in the draft, but Ryan Dyson doing everything he can to push him to the front. He's going to try and lock on there and go by Shane Terrian as the entire field pretty spread out on this restart.
Outside line, this restart going to be the prominent place to be here, as it looks like the majority of the drivers are hopping up there. One thing that's interesting we need to talk about is Ryan Dyson right now. He's working with Tom Bourne and then number 18, and the guy that he's been working with is Corey Hoover. Finally makes it back up onto the track here. He is Joe Lawrence, and he is way back at the tail end of this pack, and with 18 laps to go, he's got a lot of headway to make if they want to get back together and have a little bit of teammates there. There goes Shane Terrian hard into the inside wall, and that is going to be a hard hit for him, and that will end his night for sure.
Yeah, he got bumper hook on the lead. Alan Cryer actually got together there with him from second and just went around. It seems like that happens a lot here at Talladega. You get a car that tries to push someone and they tag him in the right rear a little bit more than the center of the bumper, and that turns him left. And for Shane Terrian, spent as much speed as he had, it spun him out right into the inside wall.
As you can see here on the right front of Tom Bourne, you are pretty close. You're about a lane away from the other drivers, and most of the time actually a little bit closer as these guys look for the side draft. That outside line right now giving a little bit of room, but look at Ryan Dyson to the middle.
He's got some drafting help from Chad Coleman to the inside. Mike 3 wide. Will make it 3 wide. A little bit of a bumper there. A little fender contact. That's Mark Rapolo in the 3 car. He's been toward the front. Both the Rapolo brothers toward the front for the first time tonight. Great to see. Riley Grant Davis just took the lead in the inside. But Ryan Dyson moves back up to the outside, and he's going to be the new leader at the line.
Oh, and just as you say that, it looks like Davis will be able to fight back on to that inside line there. These guys are just bumper to bumper. Trevor Rapolo, look at him in that number 9. He's up there as well. Another driver we saw looming back in the pack for most of the race. Here he is up in front. Now Joe Lawrence looks up to the high side there as they're making a 3rd lane. Here they go.
Intensity is picking up. We definitely starting to see that. 16 laps to go, coming to 15 to go this time. Got some cars that are damaged and wounded, but they are still moving forward. Joe Lawrence and also Joshua Chin. That is a lot of left front damage for Joshua, but hey, he don't care. He's moving to the front. Still got a chance to win.
Here they go down the back straightaway here. Chris Wright, a driver who wanted to see Corey Hoover's struggles here tonight, and he is going to benefit greatly from it. He's up there on the high side. He needs a little bit of help, though, as the Rapolo brothers are 2nd car in the row on high and the low side there. And all these guys right now jostling around for position, trying to find the guy that they want to work with. But right now the problem is you might not be able to find that date to homecoming because they're all taken right now. And the commitment time is probably coming pretty close. Once we get the 5 laps to go, there's no more changes. No more changes at all.
What a great story this would be for Riley Grant Davis. He's had a pretty tough season. Once again, another guy that hasn't had the finish just to show for it. And he's up in the lead with some help from Trevor Rapolo, Alan Cryer on the inside as well. That's a lot of great company to have, and he's just going to have one responsibility, and that's block the outside in the 3rd lane from making any ground. As easy as it sounds, well, it's a pretty tough cookie as Ryan Dyson, once again with help from Chad Coleman, making a move for the lead.
And something we've seen a lot of here is that outside line is really struggling to make a lot of headway because you get so bottled up when you have to go around these inside guys because you got to give them room. You can't get too close. And as soon as you do that, quite often you lose your momentum, you lose your leadway. So you just got to hold up real quick and try to get that side draft once again as we're up in the CFI blimp here, taking a look from above. 2x2x2x2.
Outside, very organized now. This is probably the most organized it's been in the entire second half of the race. Everyone right up against each other, trying to slipstream their way by this inside line, and that's how you do it, is get cars together, get them all pushing on the rear bumper, or at least close to, and keep that momentum moving forward. And Ryan Dyson once again sneaking up for the lead in the outside lane. You see a couple cars, Chris Wright and Joe Lawrence, try and make their way toward the front, and we talked about it earlier. Chris Wright, 2nd in the points. Corey Hoover possibly getting a really bad finish tonight. He's making some spots up now. But this is a golden opportunity for that 20 car to make some ground up in the standings. And he's moving to the 3rd lane to try and take the lead.
Yeah, the way we look at it, Mark Murphy's going to benefit very little after being involved in a hard one. But Chris Wright still up here fighting for it, of course. He might be able to get that gap closer down to about 40 points, move into that 2nd position. Same from Michael Laraya. Actually, I got to take that one back. We saw him involved in a wreck earlier on. Dyson will benefit, get that gap down to about 70 points, but we're 3 abreast through the trioval here as these guys are nose to tail, door to door, and this is the best Talladega racing that you will see pretty much anywhere, and you're watching it live here on CFI. Look at Chris Wright fit into that hole.
Yeah, he fits into the hole, but he leaves Joe Lawrence out dry, the only car in the 3rd lane. It's going to get sketchy in the 3rd lane. Coming up with the lap car, J.D. Laird. A couple of miles an hour off the pace, about 10 to 15. He moves over, no problem there. But nonetheless, these guys getting organized, and the outside lane takes the lead.
There's still a little bit of time for these drivers to figure out what they want to do. You don't want to make your move too quick here, because you make that move too quick, you get yourself stranded, and then often you'll find yourself falling back out of the pack and into the back there. As Chad Coleman's going to jump down the inside line. That's going to leave Chris Wright up on the high side. Davis there in the number 24. He's going to think about making a move, pushing Chad Coleman. Chad Coleman's like, push me, baby, push me. I'll take anything you got here. As Joe Lawrence is up on that high side, will Dyson go back to help him? How are they going to hook up, and will they hook up?
And they don't have a lot of help in that outside lane. The inside lane is overall stronger, and they need to get together in that outside lane to make something happen. Two cars cannot take the lead by themselves.
And there Davis jumps down in front of Coleman. So a lot of drivers touching the lead here as we are going. The record amount of lead changes, I do believe, here is about 65. We're not quite in that range, but still a lot of lead changes here late in the going and a lot of competition up in the front. And this is just going to be an incredible finish. Hopefully we can stay green, but if we don't, how do you make sure you're in place to make sure you're right where you want to be when all of the action happens?
And the guys toward the front, especially the guys in the front of the inside and the guys in the outside lane, they're in the best spot right now. They have to stay there and just defend. And ultimately, if you're in the lead, get there. But, you know, for the most part, Riley Grant Davis, he's been the leader on that inside lane for a long time now, probably over 15 laps. Doing a nice job of picking the right guys to stay behind him. He's moved up into the outside lane to block that lane before. He's gaining experience and learning some lessons here that might help him in the closing laps. We're not quite down to 5 to go, but when we get there, it's going to really start to make some moves. These guys will put it all on the line.
And of course, remember, when we do go back to racing, the first place we go is Daytona. So for a lot of these drivers, if their strategies did not work out tonight, tonight's a good place to figure out what they did right, what they did wrong, and then apply it to the next season, whether it be, you know, in 2 weeks or 3 months. And anything you can learn it's a learning experience, and you've got to apply it to your next opportunity. And for a lot of these drivers, we expect most of them to be back, but Joe Lawrence is going around. He's going to save it. No caution, but as he's going around again in the back, I don't believe that'll be a caution, but Joe Lawrence having some more connection issues there as he's going to be knocked up out of this field. So now Ryan Dyson, he's pretty much on his own when it comes to teammate.
It has been a terrible night for RCA Racing. That pretty much puts the nail in the coffin on Joe's chance to win unless we get a caution. Ryan Dyson, as you said, Steve Albright was lonesome, but he does have some guys he's been working with up there. Chad Coleman, I think, is one of the best guys he's been drafting with. He's on the inside lane, though. He's going to have to push the 20 of Chris Wright here. Try and see if we can get Chris in the lead. Riley Grant Davis has had plenty of help all night in the inside lane. He seems to be the one to beat. As we get to 6 to go here, that outside lane, they have to stay together. You give up now, you lose the chance to win the race.
As we're coming down to that 5 to go point, and I mentioned a couple minutes ago that once we get there, you're done changing partners. You're kind of stuck with whoever you are. And here's the lie about that. When it comes down to the final lap, if the guy that you're working with no longer is getting it done, that's when you say, okay, I'm done working with you. You shove someone else out of the way of another person's front bumper, and you say, hey, I don't care who you are, who you wanted to push, you're pushing me now, so let's go. And that can be interesting as well. So let's just watch and let's see here. Will we be able to make it all the way around for 5 more laps? These guys are right on top of each other. Chris Wright, a driver we saw appear for the first time this season, has taken the season and the series by storm. Drivers like Chad Coleman, J.D. Lear, and then Joshua Chin, they took the series by storm as well just recently, making their debut. So all of these drivers that we're seeing pretty much up towards the front, this has been their coming out season. They've had a really great season on and off. And it's great to see so many new faces making so many great appearances here as we are coming to 4 laps to go.
Definitely is, Steve, and a lot of these guys looking for their first win. I know Joshua Chin, Won last week, but guys like Chad Coleman, Chris Wright haven't won a race so far this season. What a fantastic opportunity tonight is. But I think Rally Grant Davis in that 24 car, it's been a long time since he won. I don't even quite sure I know if he's won in the UpperEdge CMC Sportsman Series. Could be a big night for him too, as all these guys getting closer and closer. Not a lot of room out there.
Comes some movement out of Ryan Dyson as we go up in the blimp. Is anyone going to come up to the high side to help him? Yes, we'll get one car up there, but he's going to think twice about it, jump back down the inside, or at least the middle line. There's the JDR machines are hooking up. Oh, big block. We're wrecking here. Huge wreck coming across. That's going to end the race. Huge wreck. Oh, heartbreak for Chris Wright, Chad Coleman. Oh, what a heartbreaking way to end the race.
Contact initiated, Chad Coleman, Riley Grant Davis, but Davis stays clean and he's got to be the winner tonight in Talladega. Wow, Riley Grant Davis, don't know if he was really the cause of that wreck, but nonetheless, fought these guys off strong to win tonight.
Well, it looks like what happened is, yes, he was not clear. He goes up to make the block, and it's going to be just enough to clip those guys up on the high side, send them around. And it's hard to blame him for making the move, but at the same point, you can't do it. If you're not clear, you can't make the block, and that's exactly what he did. And he's going to come away victorious, but probably a couple drivers not too happy with that move.
You know, that's just one of the things. If you're Riley Grant Davis, you have to block those guys, because if they pull ahead in front of you and pull down to that inside lane, well, it's pretty much game over there unless you make a move, but I don't think there would have been enough time to do that. And plus, those guys could always block your run as well, so he had to go up to that second lane. He's been doing that pretty successfully all the time tonight. It's just there, he went up there and probably wasn't clear, and unfortunately, those guys get together and go around. I think he's pretty lucky he didn't get turned, because that's usually what happens is when you go up and block someone you're not quite clear, you usually get hooked into the wall. But nonetheless, victory is a victory, and he's only got 2 laps or so under caution here before he takes home the victory.
And it's really frustrating to see a lot of these drivers, unfortunately, getting caught up in the way that this race ended. And I do believe Riley Grant Davis, this might just be his first career win in the UpperEdge Racing CMC Sportsman Series, and I'm going to confirm it real quick here, but I do believe I'm right on that standpoint. He's 20th in points, 0 wins this season. I don't believe we've seen him in victory lane before, so I've got a feeling that this team, regardless of the manner that they're coming across getting a win here, that Flat Out Motorsports number 24 driver is going to be very excited for quite some time for bringing home this win.
And he started dead last. That's the awesome part about Talladega. This driver started completely last on the field and won the race 31 spots to the victory. Pretty amazing story for Riley Grant Davis. That is just awesome part of super speedway racing. Anybody can win at any time. Find yourself in the right opportunity, you can do it. Also, Joshua Chin finished second, and look at that left front. Really tore up. Surprised that car did that well in the draft, and it really had a chance to win too. And he's going to come home and finish second. So first last week and second here tonight. Continue to talk about it, Steve. Some of the newcomers really finishing well, and Doy Woods just behind him. The 91 car finishes third tonight too.
And, regardless of the manner that Riley Grant Davis is coming across here to get this final lap, and he will come across the victor here tonight, he did, made a controversial move, but, it's not like controversial moves aren't seen almost every race in racing here. As just this weekend in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, we saw a couple drivers get into it, Dale Earnhardt-esque. And right there, Riley Grant Davis, that's a move that you have to make, and that's a move that makes champions as well. Might not be the most respected, might not be the cleanest, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
And I don't think, you know, the admins will find anything wrong with that. I don't at least assume, at least at this point, I don't make the rules or make the judgments, and I don't even know if they're going to judge that call. But nonetheless, I mean, that's a racing move to go block a driver in the closing laps. It's what you have to do, you know, to keep that spot, especially in a track like this with all the draft and stuff like that. Guy gets by you, I said it earlier, you're done. You're pretty much no chance to get by him unless you get some guys to get behind you and push you to the front. So Riley Grant Davis did a nice job of getting to the front, and he stayed there pretty much from last 20 laps or so and made it happen. So he's going to be pretty happy nonetheless. I think he's going to be one happy camper. We'll see if you can talk to him.
And as they will cross the finish line here, I'll try to get a ring in with some of the drivers across the field here, as only a couple of drivers are in TeamSpeak. Ryan Dyson is one of them here, coming away. It looks like he'll cross in 6th position after a crazy night. Take us through those final laps for your team. Ryan Dyson, it's Bone Steel up in the booth. He got me.
I think you guys are talking to me, but you're so quiet I can't hear you.
You must have a little bit of a TeamSpeak issue there. Always seems to have those problems. But I'll try not to yell too loud here for the guys listening at home. But take us through that night out there.
I don't know what you guys are saying, but that was a hell of a lot of fun out there tonight. I mean, a few big ones. I mean, it's going to happen. Usually we don't have it in UpperEdge, but a little bit disappointed to give those two guys their spots back in front of me. I would have liked a top 5 out of the thing, and I tried to pull out there with a couple laps to go. I was getting too hot. I couldn't push the 20 car. Tried to pull out. I thought that Joshua would have pulled out with me and tried to go for the win, but didn't work out. Maybe it's for the best. Otherwise, I probably would have been in that wreck. So overall, good night. Sucks for a couple of our teammates to get wrecked, but yeah, it was a pretty solid night.
Well, if you can hear me here, tell me who makes it happen for that number 28 in the UpperEdge CMC Sportsman Series.
I just got to thank London Rec for being on the car, and Driven Steering Wheels, Our Expression Studios, Castrol, all the people that make it happen, CMC for sponsoring the series this season, and Hunt Brothers Pizza, and I'm forgetting a bunch of them that are on this car, but all of them help in some way or another, so thanks to all of them, and of course, as always, thanks to you guys.
Alright, Ryan, thanks for coming up here to talk to us, and gonna see if we can get a ring in with Shane Therrien. Disappointed finish. Unfortunately found himself into the inside wall there late in the race. Shane, take us through those final moments before you found that inside wall.
Yeah, that's just the thing with iRacing. I don't really know. I looked back kind of closely. For some reason, it looked like he hooked me, even though he wasn't really touching me. Once it got to the corner, once my left rear corner got to literally the middle of this grill, it hooked me, and it's just really unfortunate. I was by far probably the strongest car, just racing smart, not trying to push anybody in corners, and disappointing. I really wanted to sweep the Talladega week.
Yeah, Talladega is always one of those fan favorite and driver favorite tracks to get wins at, simply because it's just always a pretty fun place to race at, and it's always so competitive here. Take us through though, we've got a few more races left in the season. What can you do with them?
I'm just trying to win. I mean, this is my last season for about a year, because I'm going on deployment in February or so, I don't really know. But yeah, my goal is just to win. I'm not doing any more points thing or being conservative. I'm just trying to win, especially next week or the week after. That's all I want to do the rest of the season.
Well, as we look on to the season here, recap us on how the season's gone for you. And as you look back, is there anything you would have done differently?
I would have definitely done something different at Indy by racing my teammate a little bit harder to pass him. Going into turn 4 on the final lap, but mostly I just had bad luck. I can't really do anything about changing that.
Alright, Shane, well, thanks for coming up here to talk to us. Unfortunate to see, very frustrating end for you, but we'll see you next week.
See you later, Steve.
and another driver that saw a frustrating end to his race is Joe Lawrence. Joe, what happened to you there at the tail end of the pack?
Well, I'm actually not really too sure. Was trying to find holes, get my way back to the front, and just couldn't find the right one, I guess. We tried hard. In the end there, I guess I think I got under the 5 car, and he came down a bit, and it hooked the car in the right spot, I guess, and it sent me for a little ride there at the end.
Well, we saw you on and off here throughout the season. What's your plans after this season? We go back to racing full-time in January. A few more races. We wrap up tail end of November. What's the plans here during the off-season and more?
I'm not too sure yet, actually. Well, we got a lot of schoolwork on the go here, so we're kind of waiting to see the finalized everything, and we're gonna see. I'll be back for sure. I just don't know how much I'll be behind the seat.
All right. Well, thanks for coming up here to talk to us, Lawrence. It's always good to see you. But Shane, what a night we saw here for the Pure Ponage 200. It was quite the interesting race all the way through and through.
Definitely was. Saw plenty of racing action and some pretty big wrecks. Big one to start it off involving the points leader Corey Hoover is going to take a huge hit in the points tonight. Unofficially finishes 28th, so tough break for him. Wow. But toward the end of the race, especially the second half, up front, the outside lane really came together. Pack grew in size. A couple more wrecks, but nonetheless, fantastic finish. And I know some of those guys, talked to them there, didn't get the finishes they deserved. That's just the point of super speedway racing. Anything can happen, and for Rally Grant Davis, it did happen.
Well, for everybody here at Checkered Flag Interactive and the UpperEdge Racing CMC Sportsman Series, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time.